guys, welcome back to my channel. So today on my channel I'm going to show you guys 4 of my most favorite keto snacks that I eat. They're, for the most part, they're all pretty easy. Even if you don't know how to cook, there's not a lot of cooking involved in any of these. It's simply mixing ingredients together. And actually my favorite one, that it's kind of like a dessert, but you can eat them as snacks. It doesn't involve any cooking at all. So the 4 things that I will be showing you today, I'm going to make a keto-friendly granola. Depending on how much you make and how big your serving sizes are, depends on how many carbs are in each serving. The one that I make in the serving size that I cut them into, they're only 5 carbs They are only 5 carbs a serving, and that's because I do a pretty decent size. If you cut that in half, it's 2.5 carbs. There is a lot of nuts in this granola, but the nuts that I put in the granola have a lot of fiber, so the net carb counters out and it's hardly any carb by the time that you get done. The second one is fat bombs. I'm sure a lot of people who probably are on keto have heard of fat bombs. You could probably even get them store-bought, but there's a lot of extra stuff that is in the ones that you buy store-bought. So this is a really easy recipe that I make from home. This is not the only recipe that you can make. You can make them any kind of way. There's no one way to make a fat bomb. That's kind of the beauty of them. It's kind of like a mash of a bunch of different stuff, your favorite things. And this one, I think it's only 2 carbs, and the only carbs that you get from it is the heavy whipping cream. And then I believe, yeah, you get 1 carb from the chocolate powder. And this is probably not the best chocolate powder to use on keto. It's cacao powder. Let me preface that. It is cacao powder, and this is probably not the best cacao powder to get for keto, but at my local grocery store, surprisingly, this was the one that had the least amount of carbs. It only has 1 carb per tablespoon, which I only need 4 tablespoons for the whole batch. So that puts it in perspective. And then the last 2 are both cheese related, something savory. These are both kind of sweet, so I wanted to do 2 savory ones. So we're gonna make Parmesan chips, and those are so easy to make. People think that melting down cheese is hard. It is not. They're probably the easiest thing that you're gonna make, and if you make them crispy enough, it really does taste like a cheesy chip. And then the last thing that we're gonna make is keto Cheez-Its. I am a Cheez-Its fanatic. I don't know anyone who can go into a Cheez-Its box and just eat 2 or 3. I eat half the box in one sitting. So ever since I found this recipe on how to make keto-friendly Cheez-Its, which is literally, it makes sense. It's just cheese heated up in the oven. So those are all the recipes that we're going to make today, and let me get further into it. What we are making today is going to be like a cinnamon spice granola. I am in my feels. I'm ready for fall. I'm giving fall vibes. So I'm making a cinnamon spice granola. So the first ingredient in this granola is going to be walnuts. I'm going to do half a cup of walnuts. And then after that, see, I'm making messes already. And then after that, I'm going to do half a cup of pecans. For this recipe, I will also add in half a cup of sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are a great source of fat, and probably where most of the fat in this granola comes from. And they are really no carbs. The sunflower seeds I got are 1 carb per 8 ounces. And like I said, they're also from my local grocery store. There's nothing on them. They're not roasted or anything. It's just a plain sunflower seed. Now I'm going in with my spices. Like I said, I was really feeling fall vibes. I'm so ready for fall to get here. So the first ingredient I'm going to go in with is allspice. I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of allspice, and then I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then the last spice I will be using is cinnamon, and I take 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. From there, I'm going to add in my stevia. I have stevia leaf. I keep it in a sugar jar because I also put it in my coffee in the morning. And I will be adding in chia seeds. I only use 1/8 of a cup because, again, they are a really great source of fiber and there is no carbs in them. From that, the last 2 things I'm adding are vanilla and coconut oil. For the vanilla, I use an organic vanilla I get at my local grocery store, and I'm using 2 teaspoons of that. If you see me using the exact same measuring spoon for all of the ingredients and I'm telling you different measurements, it is because it is an adjustable measuring spoon. So that is why. And then I'm going to do 1/4 of a cup of coconut oil. You'll see later on, it was originally 1/3, but you see later on I did add a little more just because my dry ingredients weren't getting completely saturated by the coconut oil. The last thing all you have to do is put the granola in your pan with a little bit of parchment paper, pat it down to make it as even as possible, and pop it in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes, just watching it carefully. So the next recipe is probably my favorite. So for this, you're going to need 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream or whipping cream. You're going to need a whole stick of cream cheese. And then you'll also see I'll take a 1/2 stick of cream cheese. It is definitely like if you need a pick-me-up, or if you are towards the end of the day and you look at your macros and you realize you did not get enough fat in, this is like the perfect thing to eat. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I had already gotten that measuring spoon wet, but I took 2 tablespoons of stevia leaf. And then lastly, for your dry ingredients, you don't have to use peanut butter powder, and you definitely don't have to use this peanut butter powder I have here, but I like the peanut butter because it kind of gives it the taste of like a Reese's. I use 1/8 of a cup of peanut butter powder to the mixture. And for the life of me, I couldn't find my tablespoon measuring spoon, so I used the 1/8, and I probably definitely went over the recommended measurements for the cacao powder. I will put the actual measurements that you should be using in the description box. I was also really hungry while cooking this, so I saw chocolate and kind of went a little overboard. So definitely don't make these when you're hungry because they are addicting. And then at the very end, you see me adding in that other 1/2 of the cream cheese. It's because I'm also at the last minute decided to make enough so my husband can eat them too, because he was eyeing me the whole time that I was making them. And the last step, these are not going to be baked. The last step is just taking an ice cream scoop, or if you don't have an ice cream scoop, 2 spoons, and making them into little balls, putting them in a pan so that you can throw it in the freezer. And you need to put it in the freezer for at least 2 to 3 hours, but overnight is fine, and they stay in the freezer until they're completely gone. So the last 2 recipes are definitely like when you are craving that Lay's potato chip and you know you can't have it. This is what these 2 recipes are for. So the first one is going to be the Cheez-It recipe. You need to preheat your oven to 250, and it's very self-explanatory. As you'll see, I'm literally just taking cheese and cutting it into squares to make it look like Cheez-Its, and then I got tired of cutting them one by one, and I was like, okay, it's time to just stack. So I stacked like 6 or 7 sheets of cheese and started cutting and poking them together. You do want to get the thinnest cheese that you possibly can. That is what is going to make it crispy. If you do not use thin cheese, it won't have the same consistency of a Cheez-It. When it is thin, it gives that nice crisp, and it gives you the crunch that you would have when you eat a Cheez-It. We have a double oven, so we were able to cook them on 2 different heats, so that I could get the cheese chips at a higher temperature, and so that they cook quicker. And so this one is also really self-explanatory. The only 2 ingredients you technically need is a Parmesan cheese and then any other kind of cheese of your choice. So you can do a cheddar cheese, you can do Gouda, and for me I just had like this Taco Bell inspired cheese that I had in the house that I needed to get rid of, so I used that. And for each I used a 1/2 cup of each. And then I mix it together, and then this part is completely optional. I season it.
I don't just eat the cheese chips by themselves, so I just put salt, pepper, and then a little bit of garlic powder. And the garlic powder actually really helps it taste like a nice chip flavor. And then I make little circles, pat it down a little bit, and pop it in the oven, like I said, for 4 to 10 minutes. Just watch it. And then these are the end results. Like the granola, I'm going to put into a jar, and I put it, like I said, I put it over my yogurt in the morning. The Cheez-Its are divine. As you can see, there's some spots missing from where me and my husband had already got into them. I'm definitely going to have to make more of those. Those are not going to last at all. And then the cheese chips, my husband was eyeing, so he took a huge bite out of it. And then lastly, we took out the fat bombs from the freezer, and like I said, they literally are like a dessert. They're so good. You should definitely give one of these recipes a try, and if you do, definitely share it with me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like this video if you loved it, subscribe and comment down below and tell me which recipe looked the most appealing to you guys and which one you would recreate. You guys have a great day, and thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.